Today is October 11th, and I'm frustrated. I figure I would make my first episode during this time. I don't know, y'all. I am in a mood, and I pray to God to get me out of this mood. Can't even explain to you what this mood is. Let me stop. I'm lying. I could explain it, but I'm almost positive that if you're listening to this, you are probably in the same mood. So I'll just say that I'm feeling very stagnant in multiple categories. But that's not why you're here, right? You're here for the journey of us. Part 1, or episode 1, however you would like to say this. So here we go. I am a twin flame. I am one of two, or two of one if you are of that twin flame life. 2 bodies, 1 soul. I met my twin flame in 2017 through the internet, but in real life, 2018. Through a DM on Instagram, and my life has never been the same since. How do you know if you're a twin flame is what you're asking me. How do you know that? How do you guys know? How do you guys know? How did you know he was the one? And as crazy and as simple and as corny as this sounds, I just knew. I had never met anyone like him. And it was almost as if when you're a young child or, a young adult, and they say, what are you looking for in a boyfriend? Or even older than that, what are you looking for in a man? But I'm definitely harking back to when you were young, 14, 15, and they go, oh, what are you looking for? What kind of guys do you like? Who do you envision yourself marrying? Because, of course, social paradigms and the old matrix of life, who you're marrying and when you're getting married and how many kids you're going to have. And that's all part of the programming that they want you to believe is your life path and your life purpose. But anyway, he is exactly the person I would have described, down to his looks. Now, one would say that that's just a preference. I'm telling you that I knew who he was before I met him, before I even knew he existed. He's 4 years older than me, so he was here before me on this world. But I 1000% connected his 3D self to the 5D man that I've been looking for my whole entire life. So with that, let's begin the story. In 2014, I ended a very emotionally straining 11-year relationship. The synchronicities and the numbers also are important, but obviously don't come into play probably till later. So 2017 comes around. Let's just go back. 2014, I ended the relationship. I was with him for 11 years, and to be honest, it was a journey. And when I tell you it was a journey to nowhere but to everywhere. I didn't realize a lot of things in that relationship. I was being emotionally stifled. I was stifling myself. I was allowing it to happen because I thought that that's what a relationship was. You struggle, you don't get along, it's just a struggle. I never, even though I told you previously, I imagine what my man would be and my relationship would be, what I would like it to be. I was programmed to accept what was. And the male constructs of what a relationship should be, because my mother literally was not a strong woman in those areas and still isn't to this day. I'm sure that's not going to make her happy to hear that, but this message isn't for happiness or for keeping everybody else happy. This is to let other people know that there is someone out there who feels the way they feel and is going through what they're going through. Follow me, guys, because I go all over the place, as if you're in here talking to me personally. So during the time after I broke up with my ex, I was already on a journey. My house had burnt down in 2011, which had knocked me off of whatever path I was on before that. It brought me back down to center, pretty much took everything I had at that point and started to show me some things. From there, I started therapy. And I know a lot of people don't think therapy's for them, or don't think therapy is the move, or is just downright afraid of therapy. Trust me, you need therapy. If you don't have someone that you trust that you can talk to like a therapist, please go to therapy. I am an advocate of telling someone the thoughts that are on your mind. And if you're like me, let me tell you guys, don't get it twisted. I went to therapy only because I could not trust anyone around me. I am at that time. You can't tell people about themselves without them trying to dissuade you. You can't tell people about themselves most of the time without them trying to attack you, even if you're not trying to attack them in the moment. So it's very easy, I feel, to pay someone to listen to me, and that's sad in the same respect, but to pay someone to listen to me who I know cannot repeat it to their neighbor or their friend or my friend or whoever it is I'm talking to, and then it's a problem, So I say it to say I started therapy, and I started to see some things about, people in my life, family in my life, and I started to eliminate. Started to get rid of people. If you do not serve me, if I cannot be my authentic self. And that process it's still going on, to be honest. It's a never-ending process. I'm still growing. I'm still ascending. I'm on a whole nother level of that. But the beginning stages of that definitely happened after the breakup. I started yoga at maybe 3 years into that, 2017, I started my yoga journey, which brought me closer to self-love, self-awareness, just self-realization, I guess, of all aspects of self. It really brought me closer to God or source, whatever you want to call your higher power, the person that you feel wakes you up in the morning. With that, I believe it was preparing me for this twin flame journey that I was already on before you know it, because if you are into the twin flame journey, you know that the journey doesn't start or end with your divine femme or your divine masculine or your twin, however you reference them. It begins with you. Even if you are in a couple, or if your twin flame, it happens to not be a couple, but in this instance, I'm really focusing on the couples, not the twin flames that are friends, but the twin flames of people who want to be together romantically. It's very me-centric, and I feel like that's the first thing that people get wrong. You come together by working on you. If you're not working on you and you're totally consumed on whether or not you're going to join together, whether or not they're thinking about you, what they're doing, it's just never going to work. Never, never, never going to work. So, my self-journey with yoga was excellent. I can only tell you that my yoga instructor is an earth angel. Again, I start to see God's work when you open your eyes. Again, I'm going to say God because that is my source. God and my ancestors are my source. If you're offended by that, I'm very sorry. But then you're not even ready for this message. Yoga definitely helped me along this journey. So cut to 2017, I'm on my yoga journey. I am also celibate. I decided to not give myself to anyone but me for a whole entire year. And to be honest, I did that because I was just fed up. I was fed up with emptying my cup and getting nothing poured back into my cup. And at some point, what do you have left if you're continuing to try to assist and help other people, but no one is helping you? So I literally just gave to me. Yoga, celibacy, retreats, vacations. I poured into me. During that year, I was reapproached by my ex, and I felt like it was a test. You know, God always tests you on what it is you really want. At this time, I realized that I was at a point in life where I wanted a family. I wanted a man to come home to love, who loved me unconditionally, and unconditionally only. I was not going to settle. I wanted a baby. I wanted a child. And at that point, up until that point, even through my whole 11 years in a relationship, I had not wanted a child. I did not want a kid. It was not for me. But I definitely know that, the search for self definitely changed all that. And also leaving a relationship that I didn't think that I could have a child with the person. That is very important. I did not want to bring a child into the world with him. And it took a lot of therapy and not being with him to realize that it wasn't the actual fact that I didn't want to have a baby. It was the fact that I didn't want to raise a child with him. And that's important. Knowing thyself is just important, period. So I say to say, in 2017, everybody comes back. Not everybody, but, people come back. We were together for 11 years, so he came back wanting a second chance. And to be honest, it was definitely a test. And at that moment, I knew it was a test. And I definitely entertained it because I had to test myself. When you finally realize there are things in this life you want. I was 36, when you're 36 and you finally realize, hey, I want a family and a home and children, it's a little scary because, your society tells you your time is almost up. But it's a matter of, do you believe what they tell you? Or are you believing what God has in store for you? And often that's hard to believe because society gives you facts. Society gives you what they claim is the truth. But relying on the unknown, having faith in the unknown, which is God, source, and having faith that He'll provide for you what it is that you need is a whole nother level. It is said that if it pops into your head that it is something that you want, then it already is for you, because God wouldn't give you an idea He can't come through on. I firmly believe that. With that being said, here I am with these feelings and emotions, and definitely considering re-entering a relationship I left. But in the end, I literally had to take a leap of faith. He was offering me all the things I wanted. Familiarity, one, because who wants to get to know someone else all over again? Two, saying all the things I wished he would have said years ago. I'm ready to move, out of his mother's house. And that's a whole other story we're not even going to get into because it's irrelevant here. Move with you, start a family, blah, blah, blah. All those things that you, in hindsight, thought you wanted to hear. I literally had to let that go because I refused to settle. Something told me, no, God has something better for you. And it was not easy. It was definitely the closing of a chapter. It was the end of 2017, and, I literally viewed it and cried it to an end as if it were the end of my favorite show. And I literally thought of it that way. I was like, this is like the end of Sex in the City. And we're never going to go back there. It's never going to be the same. We're never going to do that again. But it was a learning lesson, and I'm putting my faith in God, the higher power. And at that time, I wasn't really even calling him God, her God, it God, whatever you want to. I was the source, the universe, yogi speak. I'm here for whatever the universe is going to bring me, for letting this go, because this is not for me. It just wasn't for me. And that was the end of 2017. 3 weeks into 2018, I got a DM from a guy that I didn't know. I don't know him, seen him, because obviously, as I alluded to earlier, we had become social media friends because our circles obviously overlapped in that year. And I got a DM that simply asked me, and he's going to kill me because I don't know if I'm paraphrasing this correctly. Can we speak? I believe it said. And it asked, if we could speak about dinner, coffee, or yoga. Now, normally, guys, as you know, DMs are pretty lit, and people are always sliding into the DMs. Not so much now, but back then, I was heavy on social media, just guy shit. And I'm not that type of girl. I don't generally answer DMs. If you ask about me on the street, they'd probably tell you I was a bitch. And that's cool with me. But I was very much intrigued. So much intrigued that my best friend at the time, she's no longer, I literally had to ask her for weeks, while entertaining this DM. I was literally like, oh, no, we can't do coffee or dinner. But you want to talk about yoga? We could definitely talk about yoga. And I don't even know. It just went from there. It just literally went from there. I literally had to ask my best friend. I'm like, there was something about him. And note to the collective that's listening, I literally before he DM'd me, started trolling his page, because he started trolling my page, let's be clear. Like, he was liking pictures, and I was just like, why? Who is this? Like, he's liking pictures. So, I started to like him back, but now I'm on his page, I'm trolling him. I'm like, why? Who is this? I kept finding myself going back to his page, to the point where I'm asking my best friend, like, he looks weird, right? Like, is he cute? Like, he looks weird to me. And that's what I literally said, like, he looks weird to me. And God knows, and only God knows, that weirdness, and I'm using air quotes, you guys can't see, but that weirdness was definitely God-given. From there, that DM turned into 2 weeks of a month. 2 weeks of back and forth on there, I would say, for sure. And then I kind of I ghosted him, meaning I had a thing with deactivating my accounts. I go in and out of social media. I still do it, but I literally deactivated. And I guess he noticed it, and then he found me on Facebook to ask me why I deactivated. Well, at that time, he thought that I was blocking him or trying to dodge him, and I thought that was funny and cute that he literally tracked me down to ask me that in my Facebook messages. And from there, it turned into, we started talking and just talking. And that was what was different. Also, I never had a situation where for the first 3 weeks or month, we did not meet. For about the first 2 weeks of us really talking and getting to know each other, we did not even speak. I didn't know what his voice sounded like. I only knew what he looked like. He did not know what my voice sounded like. It was very refreshing. Everything was new. Even my views on things were new. Everything was new, but it felt right. And I want to very much emphasize the feeling. The feeling. I've never felt this way about someone ever. And I know you're going to say, oh, how do you know? The feeling's different every time. That's very true. But I don't know how to express. And if you're a twin flame, please leave a comment and let me know if you can relate to this different feeling. I didn't know then he was my twin flame. I didn't know then what was happening, but I knew something was happening. We agreed to meet up one night, and I took an Uber to his house because I literally didn't know where I was going, to drive, and I didn't want to be parking in places I didn't know, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't even know who I was going to see, to be honest. I know him from a can of paint and never met him. Also, it's all brand new. It was so brand new. And I arrived at his home late too, because mind you, he was working a late night shift. So he wasn't getting home till almost midnight. And here I am agreeing, even though he wasn't a pure stranger, but he definitely was a stranger. Here I am agreeing to go to his house and hang out. But it felt so right. And here I am laughing because Lord knows, God knows that was heaven sent and that was God, because in those situations, anything could happen. Normally, I wouldn't even have went. Normally, I wouldn't even have dated him, and I'll get into all of those things. But this is the beginning. I get out of the Uber and we hug on his cue. because I literally said on Facebook that I just needed a hug. Like, sometimes you just need a hug. And literally as I got out of the car, he asked for a hug. And it was the best hug I've ever had. Ever. Outside of, a hug from your mom or a hug from whoever that favorite person is you had growing up. Me, it happened to be my papa, my grandfather, who's still with me. And now my daughter. But it was just the best hug. And so I say it to say that is the beginning of my twin flame journey together. It gets juicy. It gets super tough. It gets impossible. But it's well worth it. It's the journey of us. Cry with me, laugh with me. Cry with him, laugh with him, and then join us on this journey that we're taking. We're not the only ones, and we know this. We're chosen for sure. We're blessed to be together. We do our work together. We do our work separately. It is a soul mission. And I want y'all out there to know that you are not alone. We are everyday people living this esoteric 3D, 5D life, figuring it out day by day as we go. And it's not easy. Many weapons formed against us, but none shall prosper. Hey, y'all chosen ones. Hey, y'all twin flames. Join the journey with us.